was reading about how Jost and Pete bought a boat. They bought the ferry.
Yes, and spoiler alert, they weren't the most responsible ferry owners ever. And I don't want to cut off your story, but spoiler alert, shocker.
It turns out that a couple of comedians who might have been smoking a little something before they entered the live auction, or is it even more embarrassing if one of them was stone cold sober?
And went ahead and maybe got out over their skis a little bit. Their water skis, because it's a boat.
Captain's license just yet. Hold off on awarding that just for the moment. So they bought this boat and they're paying $600,000 like a month to store it.
Yeah, to take care of the ferry, which ultimately I think the plan was for there to be a comedy show on the boat.
Tickets
would be $100,000
hospitality event. And it's going back to their roots. I've been thinking so much about my own roots.
God, as you get older, you return to the landscapes of your youth, don't you?
And these totems that are so important to us, and how to share that with your audience. And Pete has done it with Bupkis and the other one.
Honoring your story, the King of Staten Island, yes? Looking, not losing sight of where you came from just because of how far you've gone.
And I was thinking we could, where I'm at now, is that we could buy, you remember how Engineer Sam would ride his motorcycle?
Yes.
To our records?
Seemingly. I never saw him on it, but I definitely saw him near it.
He would be he would like kind of stand next to it, and he would walk in this way, sort of bow-legged.
Sorry, guys. My legs are all wide from the motorcycle.
Just gotten off a thundering beast. Legs kind of like quaver, like they're still vibrating a little. From the V8.
From the 900 cc's of raw whining power.
And I was thinking we should buy that motorcycle and turn it into a hospitality.
So the motorcycle, yes, we'd have to pay to store it, but we would ultimately, what would happen is one person could get on the back of the motorcycle. You're riding in the front. I'm in the sidecar. You put headphones on that.
Facing them.
Yes, you put headphones on that person. You each have you have wired AirPods, and you each have one in.
Yeah, I get one. They have one.
Yep. And they can listen to one episode of our podcast. Probably not the best one, but
and we talk about the podcast with them.
Yes,
and they can say anything they want about it. It's fine with me.
Then we give the motorcycle back to Sam. At the end of every ride.
And I have a shirt that says, "If you're reading this, my guest fell off."
On the front.
And you have a shirt that says, "If you're reading this, all is well." On the back. And it's just thinking about how to take the legacy that we've built and keep building another building on top.
Well, the most powerful buildings in the world are famously often 3 to 4 buildings stacked on top of each other.
Yeah, because once you see that one building is really working, then
you go, well, this is a great location for a building.
That one's vetted for having buildings on it. And you just and then it's time to put another one. Now I'm going to go find a
whole new spot and see if that can hold a building, not knowing whether it's some sort of swamp.
And we're inspired by the Office ladies ever since.
Did we ever drain the swamp?
Yeah, no, we're going to get around to that next week, I'm sure. Any minute now.
Heard that before.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, please. Swamp's gonna stay wet. Sorry. Swamp's gonna be a little marshy and boggy.
But imagine a drained one.
A fully drained swamp.
Oh, you just run around in there at the bottom.
Oh, I would play touch football.
Flopping little mud bugs.
I played touch football with the mud bugs.
Yes.
And the dying frogs no longer have moisture.
Just reach out. Get a catfish.
Mm-hmm.
Stick them right on my chest. They suckle me. So I don't even need hands to hold them. I'm just slapping them on me.
I got a catfish on each nipple, just nursing off
like
of me.
Like Garfield on my window.
I'm shaking these two big old catfish around like they're my very own Kazagas.
Boom, boom.
Hello,
I'm doing a
boys. I mean, that's living. God, that's making me hope that they do actually drain the swamp. I don't think they're likely to. But you were talking about The Office
We're
ladies.
inspired by The Office ladies ever since.
My guiding light?
They were so gracious when we were all nominated for Best Ad Reads at the.
They were so cool in the green
2012 iHeartRadio Podcast Awards.
Mm-hmm.
And
we're almost due for another nomination.
So nice in the green room. The fact that it was their idea for us to all go out, holding hands.
They said whoever wins
together,
we all win.
We all go up together.
Yes. And they were like, they didn't want the mic for maybe the first time ever because they are very good on mic.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't want the mic. They wanted everyone else to speak first and talk about, the ads being the lifeblood, obviously, of the podcast industry and how powerful it is and how we all lift each other up and the competition that we feel to do the best ad read, without that driving them, they never would have achieved what they were able to do, which was to talk about, cat litter or whatever they did with a little personal story. And we never would have done what we were able to do, which was to alienate all of our advertisers to the point that we basically don't have any left. And that was just so beautiful. And it really, to us, was a demonstration of like, we've got to be like this. Like, we've got to be more open to, sharing with the other podcasts and also to stealing from them and taking their ideas.
That year, I remember, this is like kind of a tangent, but I remember as we were like getting down
Feel free to go on a tangent though, Hayes.
Award season.
Yes.
And, we knew that we were going to be in it. We knew we were going to be in the conversation.
We had a shot. We didn't have any illusions about being a shoe-in or something, but we thought, look, if things break the right way, you got to go press the flesh and all that.
And we talked to some different people who were like at the time in like the podcast consulting game. That was actually how we met Mitch.
Yeah.
Mitch, before he decided to cross over, was a podcast like consultant, like PR type.
Yeah, he was sort of, he was kind of like a Rick Rubin sort of figure.
Just someone who knew everyone and who was at all the parties and just understood the game better than anyone.
Mm-hmm.
And he was guiding us on how to really go for it on ad reads. And then we heard that the Office ladies, you mentioned cat litter, they were advertising the cat litter that tells you from the pee-pee whether your cat is
sick,
basically alive or not.
Yeah.
And they were making their cat sick on purpose with poison in order to test it and say,
in order to be able to have a story of like, this saved my cat.
Work.
Yeah. This
works for real.
This stuff is so good.
It had a green skull and crossbones floating off the cat litter from the poison.
And the vomit that the cat was producing as well was changing the color of the litter. It's making it all vomit colored. And so that was a great indicator for them. And for them to, put those talking points into action in the ads,
and at that
was
point,
so
I
powerful.
said, just give it to them right now.
Yeah. They were willing to go further than we were. And we've held ourselves back. We've held ourselves back on this show in a lot of different ways,
Mm-hmm.
not just with ad reads, but with content. I think we've been afraid to go there in the way that they did. They were the first one. Obviously, there were most people learned that Osama bin Laden had been captured and killed, dumped in the ocean. I never saw the body, which they also were the first to tell me that no one was going to see the body. They went
straight to. They were the first to know that there would be an announcement that he was killed.
Yeah. Tune in tonight.
No body was going to be made available for the media. And yeah, they were doing the episode about where Stanley gets ripped. And they said, speaking of Stanley, I don't know why that was a segue at all.
I didn't see the connection then, but I know from everything I've learned from then is that it will come to me at some point.
At some point.
Yeah. Speaking of Stanley,
will come together.
I guess all the letters of SEAL are in Stanley.
Wow, that's so crazy.
And then you've got the T for team.
What's left? Yeah, sure. The Y.
SEAL
Why?
T.
Why didn't they let us see the body?
Yeah, the Y. Yeah.
Or
right
no, it's SEAL
right there.
T and then NY for New York. Very respect. But more inspiration to come, it turns out, because we have recently learned that the office ladies, because I say, look at us, we're still doing it.
Yeah, we're still going, and that's something that no one can take away from us.
The office ladies and us are still going.
We're all still going, but
where are the other nominees?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know who they were. I don't know where they are, but it came to my attention recently because I did think, not without some level of glee, that we had a good shot to outlast the office ladies because there was a finite number of episodes for them to recap. And when they reached the end of that road, that they would have to kind of bid their listeners adieu. And, maybe they would find something else to talk about or move on from the show, but that it would lose some of its luster. And never did I foresee the gambit that was available to them, which was to just start over at episode 1. And the episodes of The Office that they sort of shared their memories of for an hour plus on a podcast, that they would just talk about it again. And just they did that. They're doing that.
And potentially some of the same memories, although isn't it kind of an interesting podcast
do you
of its
remember,
own?
Yeah, like if they don't remember telling the story, are you really going to remember listening to it? And I don't know, maybe they get a different guest for that episode, but I don't know how often they have guests. I seem to just remember the gals.
So we were nominated, it turns out, in 2019.
God.
Way later than I thought. It must have been 2019 because that was the first awards ever. Can you believe that was the first iHeartRadio Podcast Awards ever?
Damn, dude. Want to feel old?
But
not as old as you felt.
There was Most Bingable, Breakout Podcast, Armchair Expert. They weren't kidding. They didn't know how much.
Breaking out of the sleeves with those big old muscles now. Kev, how is the TRT therapy going?
Not well.
It's the first time testosterone has rejected the host.
Speaking of rejection, Josh met Desmond this weekend, and I snapped the pic. Little pouty Desi.
Desmond looks like he has bitter beer face.
Oh, no.
And the blanket from Sean and Grace
being held by Josh.
Oh yeah, on the back of that couch. Gift. That's the blanket, ladies, baby blanket. Yeah, that's That's right. That's the same face I make when Josh tries to put me on his lap.
We actually were maybe nominated in 2020. I guess this is going to take too long to find out, but yeah, because we were not nominated for Best Ad Read in 2020, so that must be wrong.
The bookkeeping on these iHeartRadio awards leaves a little something to be desired. It's almost as if people aren't taking this seriously as a big awards show anymore.
So we always, Sean and I met on a show called On Gregory.
We met on this show, this funny cartoon show that a lot of people have always asked us, like, hey, you know, there's these hot recap podcasts for these shows. Like, you guys have so much insight into how the sausage was made on this one. Why don't you do it? And we said, well, it was only half a season. It was only 7 episodes and a couple backup scripts. And
half a season was the initial order.
That was the order. They didn't cut it short. They actually ordered additional scripts. I wrote one of them.
So they were excited about it.
So they were loving it. But we thought, well, if we do that, we can only make 7 episodes of the podcast and then we'd be done and then we'd have to go home and never see each other again. But now we understand, we can just do those 7 episodes over and over again.
You start back at episode 1.
And we'll actually remember which stories we told because we're going to do it daily. So it'll be once a week that we start over.
And maybe we can innovate on the form also where like we go episode 1, episode 2, episode 3, then we go back to episode 1 again.
That's cool. And keep them hungry then for, 2, I hope they get
3.
to 4.
Oh, they're almost going to get to 4. And that could be our thing is like almost getting to episode 4. But then we go back to episode 2. Then we go back to episode 1 again.
Yeah. Then we do episode 4. Then we go back to episode 2. Then episode 3. Then episode 1.
Mm-hmm.
Then episode 3. Then episode 4.
1 reunion special.
Then episode 2. Then episode 5. Mm-hmm. And by the way, I might be able to dig up one of those backup scripts.
Now, are the office ladies is it the same guests again?
I don't think so. But I honestly don't know.
I brought up that idea, whether they have guests or if I think they probably try to get a different guest for the episode to get a different memory.
I think if we had, say, French Stewart, the voice of Richard, on as our guest to discuss episode 1, then every time we discuss episode 1, French Stewart comes back again.
That's interesting.
And then we're all on the same page in terms of what our memories are that we've already discussed. And then French can have some accountability on us to be like, hey, you guys talked about that already.
You mentioned that.
With episode 1. So it's all new.
Yeah. And French also has then a specialty, which is episode 1. Mm-hmm. He's sort of the episode 1 historian. And then maybe Nat Faxon, Jeremy. He could be episode 4, which we're not going to do until like 25 episodes in. But he's busy.
He's busy.
Yeah. He's on loop.
Should we watch some of... So what we have here, one issue that we're finding so far as we explore...
We were really excited about this idea. We were maybe even going to launch it today.
Yeah. Is that the episodes are not available to be seen.
They're not watchable in a traditional way. So a lot of, there's too much TV and then all these streamers and the internet is forever, etc. So Alan Gregory doesn't really hold true to any of those aphorisms. You kind of can't find it. We found one YouTube compilation that is about 15 minutes long, and it's just random lines from different episodes, and the episodes are all chopped up out of order.
Mm-hmm. But it's Alan Gregory Highlights.
Yes.
Has 120,000 views on YouTube, which is almost as many views as it got when it was on TV. On Fox. And we actually, so this is such a special time to be doing this. I remember being really excited for the show to premiere.
Yes.
Because it was premiering after the Treehouse of Horror episode.
Of The Simpsons.
Yes, which I had somehow gotten in my head was like maybe the biggest television event in history. Season 39 of The Simpsons Treehouse of Horror episode.
Yes.
And that we would just be able to basically ride that wave into shore for the next 10 15 years.
I did think that was going to be what I was doing for a while. I couldn't help, even as I watched some of these highlights, couldn't help but remembering how I thought that this was definitely going to be my job for a long time.
So let's hit play on this, and it looks like we're going to hear from Richard and Jeremy first. This is a really great, sort of the core emotional relationship of the show, where Richard, Alan Gregory's dad, who is a wealthy by sort of unclear means. I think it's eventually established that his dad has a lot of money. Anyway, he has a partner named Jeremy, who he is forcing to be gay.
Yeah, so what we learned through the course of the show is that Jeremy was a straight man with a wife and family, and that Richard became infatuated with him and seemingly just relentlessly bullied him into being in a relationship with him. And it's a classic comedy dynamic, obviously.
And this is a relationship that other shows like a Family Guy or Simpsons, maybe if they would ever dare, would do it as like a one-shot joke about like kind of like a fringe character.
Yeah, where it's like, oh, that's a weird kind of interesting backstory for the character. It is the center of the whole show and is investigated multiple times per episode. The idea that Jeremy does not enjoy the gay sex that he's having.
So let's hear from Richard and Jeremy now.
Thank you for coming, everyone.
Okay, so
sorry, it was Alan Gregory. Sorry, we saw them on screen. Alan Gregory
was out of frame, and
Alan Gregory was lifted in.
Jeremy did lift up Alan Gregory, so we won't be hearing from Richard and Jeremy right now. But this is, I believe, Alan Gregory's first lines on camera in the show. So if
and I think this is from the not. Oh no! Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Yeah, there's scenes in one of the things that Kevin said that are where Jeremy looks different because it's not the actual pilot.
Can we start from the very beginning again, please?
Thank you for coming, everyone. Please lower your voices. I'm speaking. Oh, Chloe's here.
And then we immediately cut out.
So that was
we cut out on this little wave.
Highlights.
When I think he did say hi, Chloe.
Yes, but that was not.
They didn't include that. That's not one of the highlights.
Material.
That wasn't part of the highlight.
Mm-hmm.
Him doing the little wave and saying Chloe's here.
Mm-hmm.
A highlight. Him saying hi, Chloe, to her in the crowd. I think we can cut that. You know, we got to get moving. We only got 15 minutes to do all these highlights.
This next highlight.
Wow. Okay, how about it's Alan Gregory and go ahead and only address me as that from now on? Thanks so much.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name.
It's Miss Winthrop.
We're on court, sweetheart. What's your first name?
Gina, but you should never call me.
Gina. Can I see in the hallway for a second? Now drink up, you.
So this is one of the things that there's about 10,000 comments underneath going like, and these are the highlights. Like this show was the most unfunny thing that ever existed.
And that I remember like. And maybe it was like the time and like the comedy sensibility has changed, but I remember that was me. I remember pitching, he should say, "What's your name?" And she should be like, "What's your name?" too. They should have a they should have a back and forth because they're just meeting.
Yes,
they're just meeting for the first time. So like, it could be really interesting to see on screen a little back and forth about what each other's names are.
That I wanted it to be longer.
And I'll let everyone else find like what is there like disagreement on that? You know, is that a potential area for conflict?
I wanted to be longer, obviously, as well, but I do think, and this is a little too real. Him saying we're not a 6-year-old saying we're not in court, sweetheart. What's your first name? I think it's kind of funny.
Oh, I like how he says, "Can I see you in the hallway for a second?"
I see you in the hallway for a second. I don't know. I thought it was kind of funny.
And this might be the fact that the video is from ancient YouTube. The color palette on this show is insane.
Yeah, this is Global HD, which I believe is like the Canadian television station that plays a lot of cartoons. It also was the home to Bob and Doug, the Mackenzie brothers
maybe
animated
something went
show
wrong in the transmission because
Dave Thomas made.
The character Richard looks like a sheet of
he has no
paper
nose because of how washed
of
out
how
the color
white he
is.
is.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so now we're actually cutting back to
the scene that we cut out
scene.
of. And if you'll recall, he doesn't say hi, Chloe, in the cut that we had before. So let's see what else happens.
Knuckleheads, have a blast. It's our night, you crazies. Chloe, where are you?
Oof. We did call back to Chloe. So for some reason, we inserted into the middle of it a scene from the classroom at school. That him even being at the school happens 10 minutes later in the show from this scene, which got sliced up.
I like that on this show, you can watch it, you can really tell when we liked something. If Chloe, where are you? Hi, Chloe was doing well in the room.
Yeah, in the room.
Then it would almost be selfish to hold back on referencing Chloe
Chloe,
again.
where are you?
Yes. Because it done so well just a second ago. Let's do an instant callback. There was a lot of that.
I'm not getting a lick of service. Babe, can I hop on your landline?
Alan Gregory.
What are we dialing, 9 to get out? Is it 9?
Alan Gregory.
And that was a cut.
That was a cut.
After he says, is it 9?
I think we will cut back to the end of that scene pretty shortly. I don't know why we go to the teacher saying Alan Gregory very slowly, which I always was confused by this line read.
And this is not to call anyone out, but whose voice was this?
Leslie Mann.
Leslie Mann, of course. Yes. Okay, let's keep going.
I am your teacher, and I need you to respect that.
Oh, no. I totally will respect that. If you can respect that we are on the same exact level authority-wise.
Now we're going back to the dial 9. So this is like kind of a...
Which this is a piece I think that works better when it is all together.
Continuous, yes.
Because he is going to say sort of the punchline, as it were.
Babe, I pick up, hit 9, and then dial what?
Joe.
So that was another really fun dynamic in the show, is that he is a little boy and he wants to have sex with his principal.
Yeah, who's I think stated to be in her 60s, but really looks like probably even older.
And he has a lot of sexual fantasies about her. And this was a place where they did basically everything with Stewie except that.
Yeah.
Him being like really hypersexual.
Yes. So
we sort of thought, should we do that? And just that?
That was going to be sort of in the same way that the Jeremy Richard dynamic we described earlier was very thoroughly explored in every episode. Also, Alan Gregory wanting to have sex with a woman in her 60s. Not just having like a crush, but actually wanting to have sex with her was like very much foregrounded by the show. It was something that got probably the most attention on the show and is a lot of people's main memory from it. Is that in the pilot he does in a daydream sequence recreate the part of the Mark Wahlberg movie Fear where he fingers Reese Witherspoon on a roller coaster, but it is a 6-year-old boy and geriatric woman who is the principal of his school.
Can we read some of the comments, please, just to get some like reactions in real time to what we're seeing here? Can you zoom in just a little bit? Okay. Scroll up. It's like they were trying to go for a more upper class Stewie Griffin, but failed miserably. Okay, I kind of sort of copying what I just said.
Mm-hmm.
Someone conscientiously watched this show and actually picked these specific clips and called them highlights. Dear God, I don't even want to know the lowlights are like. Okay. Well, I have issues with the highlight, not just the highlight selection, but also how they're presented. I don't think we're totally being fair to the material here. And that's been established.
I do think that this person was sort of flexing some editing skills to the detriment of some of the comedic moments that they were trying to highlight.
Yeah.
And have made them worse than they were. Not that they would work necessarily on their own, or that they did, you know, for a larger audience, but still.
For those of you wondering why this show got canceled, let me take a stab at it. I think what the writers were going for was to have a smug, arrogant child be redeemed and made humble and likable by the public school system and the regular non-rich kids he interacted with. The problem was that this show hit you over the head with a sledgehammer with how arrogant and stuck up AG and his biological father were, that it was simply too much. There was simply no way people were going to wait the amount of time it would take for AG to grow up. Plus, the show had no other redeeming qualities at all,
i.e.
being funny.
I do. So this person, they're so wrong. I'm not even going to argue over whether it was funny. That was never the goal of the show. And I do want to get, before we get out of here, not because I'm in it, I want to get to the featurette for a different reason, which is you hear everyone describing what the show is, the creators and Jonah and the showrunner David Goodman, and you get a little sense that they just haven't quite dialed in.
They haven't gotten their story straight exactly.
Yeah, it's like the way David described it is a different character really than Jerry you're talking about. I think that comes through.
Coming, everyone. Please lower your voices. I'm speaking. I've traveled the world, folks. I've written genre-shattering novels, mediated peace talks. You all know my resume. But I'm about to embark on the biggest challenge of my
that's Jeremy,
life.
the old Jeremy.
Looks
very different.
Right.
With children my own age. On Gregory is a show about the world's most pretentious 7-year-old.
He's been homeschooled by his fathers.
Extremely sheltered.
And now they've run out of money, and On Gregory has to go back to public school.
With kids his own age,
And he just finds that disgusting.
He thinks they're animals.
Here's a 7-year-old boy who has argued for fuel cell technology on Capitol Hill, and his friends with Sandy Bullock, really good friends, and now suddenly has to be back in a lunchroom with bullies.
It's a little delusional. I guess delusional is a good way to put it.
What?
There I am. But does it feel...
There you are. Yes, I remember that uniform.
Yeah, down at the end of the table, me, Jake Johnson, and Will Forte in our own little corner. Lacey Shea Bear just off to my left. So does feel similar, the character that they're describing, but one is listing like real accomplishments that he's had.
The other was talking about him being really sheltered.
Yes, one saying delusional, one saying the most pretentious, but they can exist together, but it just doesn't feel like we really got the same character locked in before we went to do these interviews for the featurette, does it?
And one of them ended up losing.
Yes.
In this argument, and it was David Goodman.
Well, yeah, and I think the network always saw the character as a child genius who had certain accomplishments, which is also how they open. He says that he's written these genre-shattering novels, but the creators had decided that wasn't true.
That wasn't true.
It's a confusing way to introduce a character that he's just lying.
That his family had just been like making him think that he had all these accomplishments, and also making David and the network think that as well, he had those accomplishments when they agreed to do the show.
So they were insistent that the child was not a genius, but he did speak completely differently from everyone his own age who all acted and talked like little kids, and he didn't.
So David says he's argued for fuel cell technology on Capitol Hill, and then Will Forte comes in and says he's kind of delusional.
Yeah.
Talking, I think, possibly about David. Anyway, fun show.
So we'll do this again tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. Bye.